Josh Hedderich, welcome to Truckin' On.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great to have you here, brother.
Excellent to be here.
Man, I feel like we've been like in the same commercial real estate circle for how long?
It's been a long time. So 25 years for me, and I feel like you and I have known each other for 10 to 12 years, but it's been distant.
Yeah, I started my like real career doing industrial real estate 20 years ago, this coming March of 26. So, but yeah, we're the same age and we've been in this business. And then, yeah, I've known you for 10 to 12 years. Then we worked on that crazy DB Schenker deal.
I was going to ask you COVID. If you remembered that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that deal was it was a crazy COVID deal. Mm-hmm. There were lots of those that I dealt with, but yeah, it was just one of those things. And it's funny. I joke all the time, like repping the tenants that we rep. A lot of them occupy several million square feet of warehouse space, and that deal was like what?
12,000 maybe.
12,000 square
like
foot deal.
15 max.
The smaller deals are so much more complex to work on in general, which is so funny because we get paid way more to work on the large deals. And not to say like large deals aren't complicated, but I mean, oftentimes they're easier and there's more options. The landlords are like more aggressive and want to be nicer to the tenants, and it's easier to negotiate because of that. If you go look for 1 million square foot facility, it's pretty fun because everybody wants you.
Yeah.
And if there are existing 1 million square foot buildings, those landlords want to get a tenant in those buildings.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at 15,000 square feet in Garland in 2021, right? I mean, it was like boom time. That's complicated. And there were like other tenants moving around and all this, but we got through it. And
we did.
Somehow. I don't remember. I don't even remember.
Let me share with you my recollection of the events, if you will, because I remember it, I remember it very well. It was really one of my quote unquote lessons learned moments. Because that was a deal where we totally stubbed our toe. And you all, we had a spot for you. There was a tenant in the spot. And the tenant was underutilizing the space. If they were using the space at all, it was dark. And we were like, all right, we're going to put this space into production, massive 3PL name. Like, let's get this one done. And we were super excited about it. So we went through all of the algebra and the gymnastics with you and your client in order to get everything set up, ready to go. So lease is out, you got them executed, and we just got to do this simple termination agreement with the existing tenant. No problem. They're not even in the space. So we call the existing tenant. They're like, yeah, well, we're gonna go ahead and fully occupy this space for the remainder of our 2-year lease. So we can't sign this termination agreement. And that is really when you and I really got to know each other, I think.
Yeah, that's when they call me to get involved in the deals. Is when shit hits the fan is when I get involved. And I like back to my earlier point, it's so funny because a lot of times the larger deals like kind of go like clockwork, and I may not be involved at all in those deals other than being aware. But give me a 5-acre truck parking month-to-month lease in middle of nowhere, Canada. And Ward, we need you to help with this. We can't get it's just like the biggest like pain in the ass deals that are always kind of the smaller ones is when I get involved. So I got involved, and then we had a lot of really uncomfortable conference calls.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that I was the pain in the ass on that one. I got it backwards. But
it was just like, hey, we have a fully executed lease. We have a client that needs to occupy the space. Well, We have another fully executed lease and a client that is occupying the space currently. I mean, so and then you guys did not, I mean, I can't remember like what it was, but it became like, but we still want you to honor your lease. And we're like, we can't honor our lease. We got to go find space. And then we wound up going to another building.
You did. Yeah. And I think we gave you,
you let us out of there.
I think we gave you a little check too for sorry for your inconvenience factor and, kind of lessons learned.
Yeah.
By old Josh.
And then we went to another building with Prologis, because the story doesn't end there, that did not have sprinklers.
Oh.
And then we fucked up. Not me, my team. So therefore I did.
Plenty of fuck up to go around.
Oh yeah. We were just already like in this situation, and time is of the utmost essence. And so we just, Prologis has this building. This will work. We have so many leases with them. We're going to slam them in there, get it done. No sprinklers. What? No sprinklers in a Prologis building?
How old was the building?
I don't know. It was just like one of those Garland buildings, So like, I don't even remember, but probably like 90s or something, or 80s. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's why we get paid the big bucks.
Did you all have to sprinkler it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, I can't remember what happened. I know what happened. We rebated our commission to sprinkler it. And that's what we did, because, or at least a portion of it. Cause like everybody kind of dropped the ball. Like we didn't know they needed sprinklers. So it wasn't like a thing that was on our survey. Like it all just, how these things go. It's like, this building works. It's perfect for our operation. Great. Let's get the lease signed. We are rock stars. We're all high-fiving. It's like, whoa, we need sprinklers.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, we'll throw in some too. And we do that kind of thing all the time. I mean, we don't screw up all the time, but if we need to make it right, like I want to make sure, do whatever we need to do. Like if we had some role in it, then we're going to not just walk away like, thanks, we got paid, because we're doing like, most of our clients we're doing repeat business with for many, many years. And so those little deals, though, those are the ones that really solidify client relationships. And a lot of times when I'm going after a really big company, it's like, just give me the smallest, shittiest, most difficult deal that you're struggling with and let us handle that. And that's a great way I found to get my foot in the door and go solve those really difficult problems. Because it's really like, you get the 1 million square footers or the big box deals when you earn trust and from a client. And to earn that trust, though, is not to do a good job on that deal. It's to do a good job on these small, shitty ones that don't pay very much, and a lot of them too. Like there's just as many of those, or searches for buildings that they never wind up occupying, but constant, and like doing this work that you're not getting paid for. So you have to like shift working with 3PLs to a revenue stream focus and not a deal by deal focus. And you can't get mixed up in the deals. Like those big deals, they're paying for all of the many small deals you're working on. And then it kind of averages out. Yeah. Really. Anyway, great to have you on the podcast. And then we reconnected because you and I recently got together for lunch.
Yeah, that's right. I saw what you were doing with the podcast, and I saw that you were being genuine and vulnerable and honest with yourself and with your audience. It really resonated with me because I feel like there is just a lot of fluff and hot air out there. And I feel like these kind of times people are actually really yearning for reality and honesty and, earnest integrity. And I want to commend you for that, for what you're putting out there, what you're sharing with your healing journey, in the mix of all the other life components that we have. And so I reached out to you, and I just wanted to commend you. We had a great lunch that day.
We did, man, and I really appreciate that. And this thing, the podcast has been really special, a really special part of my life and a journey for almost 3 years now. And yeah, and I just felt like a need, I think for like, I think you create what you desire, right? Like if it's not there, if there's something that's not filling that void, and maybe that's what I wanted. Like maybe it was just real conversations with friends or acquaintances and then also like a platform to share my journey. I remember in 2018, I'd been sober for a few years and I felt like this burning desire to write about that. And I wrote a blog in 2018 and I was so scared to put it out there. And I was like, this is like someone else is writing this and someone else is here forcing me to do this. And I put it on Facebook and I got a good response. And I was like, and then that same voice or whatever in my head is like, post it on LinkedIn. I'm like, no, I'm not fucking posting that. I'm an alcoholic on LinkedIn. And then the voice won't shut up is what my problem is. The soul voice, if you want to call it, that's kind of how I think of it. And I'm like, fine, just shut the fuck up. And I posted on LinkedIn. And then that was really healing for me and it felt good. And then, it's still something that I know people can go read anytime you want on Medium. But then the podcast idea, just like, man, I can just talk about this. Writing a blog is real intense work ethic and takes a lot of time for me, at least. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to write something really good, but doing a podcast is conversating comes really naturally. And I'm having these conversations with my friends all the time. And it's like, I wish people could just hear these conversations. So mm-hmm. I'm glad that it resonates with you. And I'm just going to keep doing it as long as the voice in my head keeps telling me to get up and keep doing it. So
I think you should.
Yeah. Great to have you here. And let's dig into the Josh Hedderich story.
All right.
And let's start with your childhood. And I like to start ages 12 to 22.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Josh Hedderich, also known as Heddy, I grew up in Carmel, Indiana, which is like the Plano of Indianapolis. And let's see, age 12 would have been somewhere around 1990, 1991, something like that. And
how old are you?
I'm 46.
Okay, I'm 47. So yeah, we are basically the exact same age.
Yeah. So from 1991, let's see, somewhere around that time, I grew up, let's just start. I grew up in a family of four. I have an older sister. My parents, still alive, still married, still back in the home I grew up in.
Same, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's cool going home for holidays and stuff.
It is.
Yeah. Weird sleeping in my childhood bedroom bed with my now wife, but that's part of the fun too, I suppose. My
parents live in Dallas, so I don't have to spend the night there.
That's nice. Mine live 1,000 miles away, which is, good on one hand, and
we just go for lunch and hug and see you next week.
See you later. Yeah. So anyway, I had an older sister. She's a little more than 3 years older than me. She's a real role model to me. I owe a lot of my musical tastes to my older sister. And so thank you, Jen, for taking me, introducing me to the Beatles and Grateful Dead and, Fish, all the other good ones. Starting around 1991, I actually got a bit role in a community theater presentation of Cyrano de Bergerac in Indiana Repertory Theater downtown. And I got to miss a handful of days of school for the matinee performances. I was just, an extra kid, in the crowd. Beautiful romance, love story, a tragic love story, if you're not familiar with Cyrano de Bergerac. But in the 80s, Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah did a movie called Roxanne.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same story. Anyway, so I was on the stage, and I really...
Wait, so he has like a big nose in that movie?
Yeah, he's got a big nose, and he's so embarrassed, and he's such a romantic lover, and he is very gifted with his words. It's called Cyrano de Bergerac by Edmond Rostand. But he's in love with Roxanne, but he can't bring himself to bare his soul to her. And Roxanne likes Christian, who is this devilishly handsome, good-looking idiot who can't speak.
Right.
Yeah, And so Cyrano writes...
He writes for the other guy.
Christian. And so she falls in love with Christian's physical persona, but Cyrano's internal romance.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful love story. And then she, Christian dies in battle, and 15 years later, Cyrano and Roxanne remain friends, and they're sitting in the park, what have you. And I don't know, Cyrano has a critical injury in his head, and he ends up dying, but he confesses. And so, she realizes she loves him too, and then he dies, and it's tragic. Nevertheless, I was in that stage play, and that gave me a love for performance and
How did
theater.
you get into that at that age?
Honestly, I have no idea. You know what? I will credit my mother for that. And today, by the way, is her 74th birthday.
Oh, all right.
So happy birthday, Mom. Robin Hedderich.
Happy birthday.
Love you. Thank you. And it's her influence, which brought the orchid too.
Oh, yeah.
Nevertheless, thanks, Mom. I don't know. We were looking for activities for me to do, I wasn't totally into like sports or whatnot, but like there was an activity. And I had a friend who was doing some performance as well, and anyway, so I just figured I'd give it a try.
Yeah.
So we got some headshots done, and and so I was cast as an extra. I did a couple commercials too. When I was a kid, I did a commercial for an eyeglasses place in Indiana called Optical One. It was like a back to school, I can't see, but then I got glasses, now I can see again, kind of deal. And then WGN Weekend Morning News. During the Cubs games nationwide, I was on a commercial. I was a paper boy for the WGN Weekend Morning News, which was a news show, I guess. And I was a paper boy, but instead of riding my bike and throwing papers onto people's front porches, I threw TVs. They were little prop TVs, but but it was fun, and that whole like production and that became, I think, that was something that was it carried through to the next few years of my life. In high school, I was a thespian. I was a drama guy, and so WGN Weekend Morning News, I was tossing TVs and and I had people say, "Hey, I saw you during the Cubs game on TV." That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I did theater in high school and junior high. Yeah. I did the one act play and the musical, and I was in the show choir, and that probably led to my rock and roll lifestyle after high school. But I never got back into that, but I loved just the vibe of all of that. Like rehearsals and pre-show rituals and like hanging out after the show and that whole theater crowd. That was like my crowd in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Me too.
At Woodrow. Yeah. And I missed that. And yeah, I just loved all that. And I never did commercials or anything, but I can just imagine like being on the set and having all that, like that. It's kind of the same energy, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of activities, a lot of things going on that are not in the shot, right? And all of that coordination it's pretty neat if you've never experienced it. And then the WGN one with the paperboy. I mean, there was like a car with a trailer with a mobile like camera van, and I mean it was high production value.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Did you get into sex, drugs, and trouble as a child star?
Not as a child star, but maybe in high school. So that's not a bad segue. I did not. And those commercials were the end of it. And then,
no crazy child star drama.
No, nothing like that. No, dodged a bullet on that one. But nevertheless, it was fun and it gave me the bug. And so when I got into high school, I was a drama kid too.
That was your main thing in high school?
In high school? Well, it was a main thing, you know, like I did, you know, the rest of junior high, I played tennis, I ran track and cross country. I was a distance guy.
Okay.
Tennis was great. I seem to excel better in the, you know, individualized sports as opposed to like a team sport like soccer. Or, you know, basketball, which obviously look at me, I'm not a good basketball player, but, you know, nevertheless, you know, track, cross country, and running, that was good. I enjoyed distance rides on my bike. My dad and I used to do that. So we lived in 96 and Ditch at on the north side of Indianapolis, and it's a grid, so that's 9.6 miles from the city center. My dad and I, we used to ride our bikes on the weekends down Meridian. It's a straight shot down Indianapolis, and we would go all the way down to the Soldiers and Sailors Monument Circle downtown Indianapolis, and we would park our bikes, and we'd run up to the top, and then we would run down, and then we would eat donuts, and then we would go back.
That is awesome.
And it was like that's you know, I've got a lot of, my dad and I were big on father-son bonding. You know, and it's something that, you know, has really, you know, resonated with me, and my relationship with my dad is very special to this day, you know, because of that. And my mom too. I mean, we had mother-son bonding, less programmatic. We didn't call it that, but in 8th grade, my mom is a caterer, and she catered out of her kitchen. So, I grew up in my mom's kitchen, and I love cooking.
I know that about you.
But what a lot of people don't know is something that was really special to me is my mom, in 8th grade, instead of going to, you know, junior high football games and stuff like that, on Friday nights, you know, we'd have Shabbat dinner. We were Jewish, and we would have Shabbat dinner, and my mom and I, my 8th grade year, on Friday nights, we cooked our way through a Mrs. Fields cookie recipe cookbook. And every week, you know, we would pick a new recipe and we would cook it together. And it was really awesome.
It's always cookies?
Well, it was, you know, for this.
Yeah.
And, you know, because it was, you know, it was a cookbook, and she had a million cookbooks on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so this is one I gravitated towards, and, you know, we would make notes and stuff in it, and like how they turned out and how they did. And I don't even know if she remembers it. I'm sure she does, but that was really meaningful for me. And what was cool is about 6 or 7 years ago, when I was going through my divorce, my mom actually came to visit, and she brought that cookbook for my eldest, Piper, and said, "Hey, I used to cook these recipes with your dad, and I think you and your dad should cook these recipes now too." So it's like a family tradition.
And you're doing it now?
We are not. We are not. You know.
My daughter would be like, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." But then when it came time to do it, she'd be like, let's do that next week.
Another time.
Yeah. But that's nice though. I'm curious, what's the Jewish population like in suburban Indianapolis?
It's a lot more dense than it would be, say, in the outskirts of Indiana. So in Indianapolis, you know, there's a good concentration of Jewish people.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say you would find the majority of the Jewish population in and around Indianapolis, and then also in Northwest Indiana, which are the Chicago suburbs.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, there were not a lot of Jews in Carmel High School.
Yeah, I was just kind of think, growing up in Dallas, I never met a Jewish person growing up at Woodrow.
I find that so hard to believe.
Yeah, I know that now, because Dallas has a great Jewish community here. I think they probably did back then, but it wasn't at Woodrow. Mm-hmm. I mean, like there just weren't any Jewish kids going to Woodrow. We learned in Sunday school about Judaism, and we had like a rabbi come speak to our Sunday school class. I remember that. But then I went to Brown, and there's a huge Jewish population there. My freshman year roommate was Jewish, but I'd never really met a Jewish person before. And I was really like, tell me about being Jewish, Jay. Jay Plansky. Mm-hmm. God, I'd love to get him on this podcast. And kind of got like introduced to that. But I felt like Indy might have been like similar,
for sure.
And was that like ever a thing, or was it? I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
what that's like.
I absolutely experienced anti-Semitism.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I do today.
Do you?
Yeah.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's much less so today. I mean, our society has evolved in tremendous ways. But, and with, the advent of the internet, I mean, you think about 30 years ago, I mean, where'd you get your information? You got it from the news. You got it from the newspaper, the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Before the internet. I mean, you got it from your friends. You got it from your parents and your grandparents. And so there's a lot of misinformation out there.
And obviously now this whole thing going on with Israel and Palestine, that's all over the news. And I don't watch the news, but I see I have a lot of Jewish friends from college, and now in like plenty of Jewish friends in Dallas like you, but a lot of, and colleagues within Colliers. And I see a lot of anti-Semitism going on right now because of that. And like at Ivy League schools, there's like protests and like, there's like really horrible things going on. One more note on the topic before I let you take over. I just read The Choice by Dr. Eva Eger. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
She's a Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
And then she became like a world-renowned psychotherapist. And the book is Jeff Brand. Do you know Jeff Brand?
Yeah.
I think we
I've
were talking
become
about
friends
him.
with Jeff because of his podcast with you.
Yes. And I think we had just recorded that before me and you had lunch.
That's right.
And this came up somehow. And Jeff gave me that book. He mailed it to me after the podcast. And I read it, and I bought 10 copies. I'm going to give you a copy. I have it here. And it's one of the best books that I've read. But man, it's kind of like weird, like growing up in Texas, at least at a public school, like we did not study Jewish history. We studied World War II, and I'm aware of like the Holocaust at that point in my life. But I was confused, like, okay, like is being Jewish a religion, or is it an ethnicity, or is it a culture? And still, I mean, I think people identify as all three or one of the three, right? Like, and that's but it can be confusing if you're not growing up with the Jewish population about all of this. And to me, it's like, why does a Jewish person who's born and raised in Dallas, like, why are they catching grief for like the behavior of Israel? If you want to just simplify it, like if people are mad at Israel, but they're now mad at Jewish people that are Texans, like that makes absolutely no sense to me. That's like, I mean, what if I was a Viking from the Vikings? I think I was. I used to drink like a Viking.
You look like a Viking.
Right. But they were rapists.
Yeah.
And do I get persecuted for the behavior of Vikings? Like, no. Like, it's just fucking insane.
I've been meaning to talk to you about Viking behavior.
I mean, everybody looks at me like I'm a Viking. So, no. But, dude, you hear what I'm saying? Like, I think a better I want to hear about the anti-Semitism, and then like also your thoughts on like what is Jewish, what does that mean,
Sure.
and then why are all these people like what's like, I don't want to get into world politics, but just the behavior of people like especially a year ago or whenever it was happening, there were just horrible things I was hearing about from my Jewish friends who were posting about it.
Yeah. So, October. So current anti-Semitism, and I just want to preface all of this by simply stating that we as a people, just people in general, we try to make sense of the world around us, as confusing as it is, and we make up stories, and we focus on things like labels and black and white thinking, right and wrong, and this is Jewish and this is Christian and this is gay and this is straight, and this is whatever. But there's lots of gray in.
I think the secret of life is there is no black and white. It's all gray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to be comfortable living in the gray, I think. But getting back to anti-Semitism, and the recent anti-Semitism that I personally experienced was, I was driving to. This was October 7th of, I guess it was 2023 now, when, Hamas attacked Israel. And again, I don't want to get into any, politics, but shortly after that, there was a gentleman standing across the street from Temple Emmanuel, and I was heading there for Sunday school. I teach 4th grade Sunday school. And there was there were people with Nazi signs standing on the sidewalk across from Temple Emmanuel, which is the 3rd largest congregation in the country.
In like Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. Hillcrest and Northwest Highway. I mean, the guy's standing across the street, public right of way. He knows what he was doing. He was educated, holding up his sign, Nazi salute. I mean, it's the 21st century. Yeah. Right. And I don't know. Nevertheless, there was an organization, there is a database. It's called the Jew Hate Database or something like that. And it is because there's a lot of pictures on social media. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. So there's a database of anti-Semites and Nazis and what have you out there. You can look it up. And this guy's picture was on it, and there was they were able to identify who this guy was, where he works, and he was subsequently removed from his responsibilities.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a prime example of your actions in public definitely have repercussions.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, fuck around, find out, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. So, there's another one, I think, that was really high up in a very notable construction company here in town as well, in the database, also removed from his responsibilities. I don't know if that helps our cause or not, but it definitely, as somebody who has experienced persecution, if you see something, you say something. And if you remain silent, you're complicit.
Yeah.
So, and thankfully it's a lot different now than it used to be.
What did you do when you see these guys holding up Nazi signs outside the temple? You
can't engage.
Yeah.
You can't engage. You have to go about your life.
Yeah.
You have to go about your life. If you change your behavior because of terrorism or other people or what have you, then you give them power, they win.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. I tell my kids that all the time.
Yeah.
You can't change your way because somebody else has a different opinion.
Yeah.
You be you. And I've, I could, we'd be here for hours. I can tell you a million stories. And a lot of the anti-Semitism that I have experienced personally really it really boils down to ignorance.
Right.
It's just uninformed uneducated points of view.
I would say that's like the problem with all assholes.
I think so.
And you might read a book and think you're not ignorant, but like until you really like have experience, like experiential learning, I think is the only way to learn. And if you're not going to like be open-minded about things, like, and live life that way, because it's all gray. There is no black and white. And understanding that is, I mean, it just really, I've been through enough shit and made enough mistakes in my life that it's taught me compassion for everyone. Because even the guy with a Nazi sign and all of that, like being complete asshole, like I also know enough to say he's ignorant, like may as well be a toddler, and find compassion for the person. Pity. Yeah. Just like this person is suffering and he's living in this like fucked up reality dimension where he thinks that this is right. And it's hate, and and he thinks that it's going to make him feel better, but it's may as well be shooting heroin. Like someone that shoots heroin, like they're a toddler that's trying to find some kind of feelings of love and
comfort and
find
safety.
God really is, I think, at the root of all of this behavior. Is they're trying to find God, and they're just doing it in no matter what it is, whether you're being racist or you're an alcoholic or you're addicted to making money, like it's all a search for God, in my opinion. And people are lost when they're putting that, when they get so wrapped up in something and believing this is it. And then I think the secret to God is knowing that you don't know what it is. And other than like strive for peace and love, right? Like, and how do you get there? But yeah, and then you do, I mean, like if someone's putting you in danger though, then those things, you can't just say, oh, I have compassion for you while you attack me. Like, I mean, yeah, those types of situations, you've got to,
you have to
be
fight
like,
back.
Bye.
You know,
like I'm going to kick your ass, man.
You know, you talked about experiential learning. And one of the biggest, I think, turning points of my childhood came around the time I was somewhere 16, 17. It was somewhere between junior year and senior year in high school. I had, for the prior 2 years, kind of, as adolescents do, I had gone around the dark side, right, for my parents. And, and I was on my way back. And I was on a youth group trip, pilgrimage trip to Israel, Poland and Israel, with 60 kids my age and, a handful of chaperones, adults that were probably 20, 22, something like that. But it was my youth group. It was United Synagogue Youth, and it was a nationwide organization, and so we had chapters all over. I was in the Indy chapter, and I went on this trip. It was way cool. It was 9 days in Poland, and in those 9 days, we saw 5 concentration camps. We saw Sobibor, Majdanek, Treblinka, Auschwitz, and Birkenau. It was such a stark contrast between, some of them were just empty fields where all of the trees were the same height because they were planted at the same time when they destroyed the camp. Auschwitz and Birkenau looked like a college campus. The barracks where these people lived were built out of brick. And it was, the structures were quite pretty, but, you see that, that imagery of that big, watchtower with the train tracks going underneath it. We walked along those train tracks, and it was a very sobering experience. We went to Treblinka, which, was an open field, with a giant stone in the middle of it. And around that giant stone were 17,000 jagged little different stones around it. And on each of those, some of those stones, there was a name of a town which had been completely destroyed or decimated. And 17,000 is a significant number because at the height of Treblinka's operation, 17,000 people, mostly Jews, died daily.
Oh my God.
And it's unfathomable.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and it's not just Jews, and that's what people don't understand about the Holocaust. It wasn't just Jews; it was Catholics, it was gay people, it was handicapped people, it was black people, and Jews. Jews are about half. And so
I didn't realize
everybody
that.
talks about 6 million Jews, but it's really more like 12, 13 million people killed in the Holocaust. After that experience,
How old were you again?
I was about 16 or 17,
Okay.
questioning God, life, trying to figure it all out.
Do you think that pushed you further away from God experiencing that, or
No,
no?
no, it took me a while, but after Poland, we flew to Tel Aviv, spent the rest of 6 weeks in Israel celebrating. You know, I kissed the ground when we got off the plane. You know, we were in a Jewish homeland, and I was with 60 associates, you know, my age from around the country who had just experienced the same eye-opening revelation. But we spent the rest of 6 weeks celebrating and being Jewish and learning about history. And, you know, we went from the north to the south, and we climbed Masada, and we floated in the Dead Sea, and we ate falafels, and we visited kibbutz, and we did, you know, tikkun olam projects. What tikkun olam is Hebrew. It means to heal the world. And that's what we should all be doing every day.
That's right.
That's how that's personally, like, I want to exist to make the world a better place. You know, one interaction at a time, one day at a time, one, you know, good deed at a time, one life lesson at a time.
Yeah.
You know? But that was a really pivotal. I came back from that trip a changed man, a kid, man, you know. You know, coincided well with coming back around the dark side of my parents too. So my senior year of high school we had a pretty good relationship, you know. You ask about, did that take me further away from God? You know, I had grown up, you know, I loved science classes and learning and things like that. I was a nerd. You know, I always questioned the existence of God. I was like, okay, well, so God made, you know, everything in 7 days. Like, come on, you know, dinosaurs, fossils, you know, all that stuff. Judaism encourages the question, you know, encourages asking questions.
Yeah.
You don't just accept, you know, on blind faith. You question. And if you have a different opinion, you say something. And let's have a discussion about it. You have ideas, I have ideas. Neither one of us are right, you know, but somewhere in the middle, maybe it is, you know.
Are there different like denominations of Judaism where
sure.
there's like it's okay to question in certain ones, and then other ones are less proactive with the questioning?
For sure.
Because for sure, and like Christianity, there's so many like different viewpoints from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with Judaism, it's like a spectrum, right? So, you know, you have the Hasidim, you know, or uber Orthodox. You know, and the men in the black hats and the, you know, they wear talit, and then you see their fringes. They wear a kippah. You know, highly observant. You know, the men and women don't pray together, you know, when you're Orthodox. And then there's conservatism, you know, so conservative Judaism, kind of middle of the road. And then there's Reformed, which is Jewish, you know. I'm Reformed now. I grew up with a mix of, and then there's Reconstructionism, which is an interesting kind of newer sect. It's somewhere, I would call it somewhere between conservative and reformed.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in a congregation, Bethel Zedek in Indianapolis. We had a husband and wife rabbi, which is very rare. But Rabbi Dennis was conservative. Rabbi Sandy was Reconstructionist. So we had a very interesting kind of Judaic philosophy in our congregation, which is, an interesting nuance. But, she was very progressive as a female rabbi. I think she was the only second female rabbi. I currently belong to Temple Emmanuel. We have 1, 2, 3 female rabbis, 2 male rabbis, and 2 female cantors. So, it's good to see that diversity up on the Bema.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I can't remember really where I was going with that, but I came back. Oh, I do. I became closer to God after questioning my entire life God's existence and all of the things that we learn about in Sunday school and everything like that.
Yeah. And
I remember I was on this trip and we were in Israel, and we prayed 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. It's quick, 25, 30 minute, kind of service. You go through it's pretty standard. But I would always kind of just go through the motions. I never really felt it, And I was like, I don't get it, I know I'm Jewish. I know it's part of my identity and how I see the world, and I know all of the lessons I've learned in Sunday school and everything like that. But I don't understand about God. What is it? How? Anyway, so I went through the motions. We went to the Western Wall a couple times on this trip because Jerusalem's in the middle, and that was our home base. And it was cool. But then I know you like to ask if I've ever had a mystical experience.
Yeah.
So, which again, I don't want to, focus on the label, but to me, it was a pivotal experience. We'll put it this way. And what I believe is a religious version of my mystical experience. We can continue to talk about that a little bit later, but it was right before we were about to leave to come home, and it was like a 6 a.m. flight out of Tel Aviv, and we were in Jerusalem, and so we had to the bus had to get up and leave at 1 a.m, and everybody got on the buses, and then we were going to go to the Western Wall one more time before heading to the airport, say one last final prayer for Israel and express gratitude for what we've all just experienced, and safety for the journey back home. And you have a couple things that kind of came into play here. One, you've got the Western Wall in Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem. It's the center of 3 world religions right there. Thousands of years of history and conflict and love and hate and all this stuff right there. And you have the power of night, which really changes everything. Daytime's way different than nighttime. And we went to the Western Wall, and I remember I wrote down a prayer, because you write down a prayer on a piece of paper and you stick it in the cracks in the wall. And, and that's your prayer to God. And then, supposedly God answers your prayers, right? Well, I wrote my note in the wall, and I approached the wall, and I kind of leaned up like this, up against the wall, and it was just me at night, in my world, with my own conversation with God, and I felt it like electricity coming through me, and I could feel it from the top of my head to the tip of my toes, and I felt energized, and I felt touched. And I slowly backed away from the wall, and I got it. And I walked away, and I flew home, and I've never forgotten that moment, or the image in my head, or the feeling that I had at that time. And to me, that was my mystical experience. That was my interaction with the divine.
Yeah.
And it was impactful.
That's amazing, man.
Thanks
for sharing that.
Yeah. I don't know if it qualifies as a mystical experience,
I'd say
but
so.
it was pretty damn
I would
special.
say so. Yeah.
But getting back to the anti-Semitism, there was a gentleman. So that experiential learning that we talked about, fast forward, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. I'm through college. I had just moved to Dallas. And I was in Deep Ellum. I was listening to some music. And I was there with my girlfriend at the time. And somebody, maybe not unlike yourself, had just come up to me, and I don't know, said something about being Jewish or, anyway, so he asked me if I wanted to hear a joke. And it was I won't repeat it, but it was a not funny joke about basically putting Jews in the oven like pizza. And I've seen those ovens. And so I'm actually really proud of myself. I was very calm. And I walked away. And he went to go sit down. And I think he was on a date. And then so about 5 minutes later, I calmly walked up to him. I asked if I could sit down. And I sat and I explained to both of them why that joke wasn't funny. And how that he should probably never tell that joke again. And then I got up and walked away. And I don't know if it resonated or if he...
Did he say anything?
Not really. If he did, I don't know. He might have said he was sorry.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of those little moments in life, that if you really look at them, they are anti-Semitic moments. Like the person who wants to make a joke about a Jewish person being cheap. I spend freely. Yeah. There's any number of stereotypes.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to, as you said, have compassion and calmly and just say, hey, that's not right, and this is why.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that had to have taken like a tremendous amount of courage to go do that. And it might have also been your little voice in your head that's like, and you're like, do I really have to go talk to this fucking guy right now? But like, I'm gonna go have that conversation.
You have to. I had that conversation in my head for those 5 minutes.
Like, how should I handle this? Like, I'm just gonna go tell him why he shouldn't do that in a really polite, calm manner, and leave him. And that had to, it didn't have to stick, but you would think that something like that would be better. It's better than fuck you, and smash a bottle over his head.
Right. And I had been drinking. I'm sure I had been drinking that evening. So like, I'm surprised at the amount of calm that, that befell me, because, it's hard to control your temper sometimes, especially with idiots.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. So, back to the Josh story.
Oh, yes.
Thanks for sidetracking on that with me. I think that's really important information that people need to hear.
Yeah.
And highly recommend, if anyone out there is curious about this, read The Choice by Dr. Eva Eger. That led me to read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which is like the OG Holocaust book. I told one of my best friends from college, I texted him when I was, he's Jewish, and we always talked about this in college, this kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, you have to read The Choice. And he's like, nah, I just read the OG Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. That's good. That's great. It's an amazing book. And she talks about him and actually became good friends with him. And they're both like Holocaust survivors who survived Auschwitz and
awesome.
became psychotherapists. But she read his book, and that like inspired her to start talking about it, because she had just buried it and like never talked about it for maybe like decades after getting out of there. But her book, you can tell it was just like written in a more modern time, and she had a really great like co-writer or somebody just like writing the book, the way it flows and the dialogue and everything. Oh my God, it is one of the best books I've ever read. I cried tears multiple times throughout reading it of joy and inspiration and like pure terror and sadness, like all of the things. It's so good, but everybody should have to read that in high school, in my opinion. And you're going to get to when you walk out of here.
Thank you.
So you got through high school, you went to college.
I got through high school. Yeah. So I was, like I said, I was a thespian. Did the drama, I had my crew of drama people, all the weirdos, they were my weirdos and I was their weirdo, and it was great. I'm married to one of those weirdos right now.
All right.
So graduated high school. I found my way into a fair amount of trouble, in high school. Good trouble, not too bad, but
Pre-Israel high school.
Post-Israel.
Oh, you.
Post. It's a colorful rainbow we live in here, but no. I mean, I learned about all of the things you can smoke and do, and ways to alter your perceptions
In high school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So you rolled pretty hard with the theater crowd.
I did. I wanted.
Our theater crowd was so tame. Like we would go to coffee shops and smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, we did that too. Clove cigarettes.
Cloves,
yeah,
for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
I walked by somebody smoking a clove cigarette yesterday, and it took me right back to this little coffee shop called the Village Idiot in Broad Ripple. And I was like, oh man.
My good friend Knox just sent me this video that like a movie we did in high school that I think captures some of that time. I haven't watched it yet, but I need to go watch it. But yeah, those clove cigarettes, I remember that. And somebody's like, they make your lungs bleed. And it's like, oh, I'm just going to smoke Camels.
I remember that too. I was a Camel Light guy. I smoked enough packs of cigarettes and got enough Camel cash to buy myself a Joe Camel pool stick.
Oh, wow.
Which I still have.
Do you really? Gosh. Yeah, I've smoked Camels and through college, basically, and then I've switched over to Parliaments.
Me too. The ultimate recess.
Yeah. And then I switched to American Spirits were my final. And if I do, I might still have a cigarette from time to time. If I'm in Mexico or something, that's where it tends to happen. And I will not smoke anything other than an American Spirit. I can't handle the chemicals anymore because I trained myself off of them. But smoking was a great pastime in high school because I didn't drink or do drugs in high school. I mean, I did drink a few times, got caught, and my parents said, don't drink again, or you're going to military school. So I didn't, but I did use tobacco to fill that void. And it was very exciting. Like Camel Reds came out. You remember those? And it's like, whoa, these are cool.
You're a cowboy.
These are the coolest.
Did you ever smoke a Camel Wide?
Yeah. I smoked every kind of cigarette there is, probably.
Good
times.
So I got in a fair amount of trouble.
Did this carry on through college?
Yes. And so in high school, I discovered marijuana. I discovered hallucinogens,
like LSD,
and mushrooms.
Okay. I did mushrooms my senior year of college. Was the first time I ever tried mushrooms. That was a mystical experience.
Yes, it was.
That totally changed like my perspective on everything doing mushrooms. And I remember Prospect Park, I think it's called, in Providence, and Brown is up on a hill called College Hill. And we're like overlooking the city of Providence one afternoon. I was looking at all the historic buildings in downtown Providence, and then it occurred to me like they were probably built at the turn of the century, a lot of them. And this is year 2000, so this is 100 years since in my mind, I'm like, these were built 100 years ago. So then I started imagining all of the workers that built the buildings, and then imagining like, oh my God, they're like all gone and they're all dead. And I had this like, that was the moment when I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to die.
That's when it turned dark on you.
Before that, I would fly to Providence on American Airlines from Dallas to go back to school. And I was like, if this plane crashes, I'm going to jump out of the exit door and roll on the ground when I land and survive. Because it's not taking me out. Like, I felt purely invincible all through my life until that time. And I was like, oh, shit. And I remember taking mushrooms, and they're like, when you take mushrooms, it'll change you forever. It's like, sure it will. Give me some mushrooms. And it changed me forever. Yeah, for sure. And I think it was a positive like evolution of myself, like to recognize that. I think a lot of people recognize that naturally. I did not. And that, I think, was a gift through my adolescence. It's like not like really consider, like death happens to other people, but it ain't happening to me. Yeah. Like I'm good. But yeah, it just like really brought me down to like the value of the time and the scarcity of time that we truly have, and to make the most of it. And that changed my perspectives in a very positive way, but it was also kind of bone chilling at the same time.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those positive, experiences coming out of psychedelic experiences. You know, I definitely, I find it's like you gain a new perspective, like you said, you know, almost like a snake shedding its skin. You know, I've had some positive and I've had some negative experiences too.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, so I experimented with, you know, ways to expand my mind.
Were you going to class and a good student?
I was a good student. Yeah, I was a good student. My parents, my education was very important. You know, if I got C's, I got grounded. You know, like grades were important. You know, and when I went to college, my job was to be a student.
That's a positive Jewish stereotype, I would say, that I've heard from my Jewish friends. Like when I'm asking these questions, like what is Jewish, when I was in college, they're like, yeah, we go to good school. Like our parents' education's important to us as a culture. And I mean, I think it on paper it is to everyone, but like that's just circling back. Like that's
for sure. It is definitely positive. My diversity training has, I have to say, there are no good stereotypes.
That's true too. I felt shame just saying stereotype, but no, I mean,
I don't want to make you feel shame.
I don't. I've transcended shame. Just kidding.
Well, let me know, because I'm in a sea of it.
No, yeah, and I mean on that topic, like sometimes the over, I guess we can just call it, like I'll call it woke culture in general. Like that is actually in many cases, while it's meant to alleviate shame, it also creates shame. It's kind of like a double-edged sword that may not be being used appropriately by lots of people. Because there is that. And I'm like, dude, I tiptoe in 2025, man. I am blonde-haired, blue-eyed, heterosexual, upper middle class white boy. And Like, I just, like, yo, I don't know what y'all go through. Like, I respect, like, I'm with you. I try to, like, you know, be my best, but I'm also me, and I don't follow rules well, and I just am like myself. And I'm like, you know, I'll say things like that because it's fucking true, you know? And like, when I went to Brown, we had racial orientation seminar freshman year. Now
That's awesome, by the way.
Yeah. We did not have that at Woodrow. When I was at J.L. Long Middle School and Woodrow, I was a minority, being white.
Sure.
It was mainly Hispanic, mainly Mexicans. And I got picked on hard in middle school. I was called white boy. I got picked on for being rich and white. It's true. And so I experienced that. I hired a black guy named Frank to be my bodyguard.
Yeah.
In 7th grade. And he protected me from these Mexican guys that would fuck with me. And I remember it was kind of a known fact, like the Mexicans are scared of the black guys. So get a black guy to protect you. And that was a thing that white people did. Of means, like me. I had $5 in lunch money, only needed $2. Fucking Frank, go for it, bro. Like, it's like, don't fuck with Ward.
Yeah, that's good.
And so at the racial orientation seminar, I'm just keeping my fucking mouth shut. Into the year 1996, I was already like, I'm not going to go, like, talk about me getting picked on for being white. But an Asian girl's like, we get stereotyped for being smart. And like, it was a bad thing. And I was like, I mean, some of that, like, I think it serves a purpose, but then it was also, to me, especially at that stage of my life, it was hilarious. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, I had to hire fucking Frank to protect me from the East Side Locos. Like that, I was stereotyped and like physically assaulted for it. I mean, I think everybody experiences some kind of that to some degree.
Sure.
So, like, I think that's why the wokeness does piss a lot of people off, because it is also a shame contributor. And that's really the basis of why people hate, like, woke culture that will really... And I'm not one of those people, because I see the purpose that it attempts to serve. I mean, it can be annoying at times, but it is also, like, important to... in some regards too. So like anything else, like, it requires a very delicate balance and there is no black and white. It is all gray area. And it's like, how do you balance that? Like, I try my damn best, but I use humor a lot. And I'm also like, call shit for what it is. Like, sometimes it's ridiculous. Yeah. Sometimes it makes sense, and it's not always right. It's not always wrong.
I believe in the benefits of diversity and inclusion for sure.
Sure.
Of course. I mean, it's the 21st century.
No
right?
doubt.
And so I do believe that the tenets of quote woke culture, are positive, because it's about bringing awareness and education to people. Right. But I think what pisses me off is it's like I'm hyper vigilant walking around, and every time you screw up, there's like a buzzer that goes off and someone goes, gotcha, like, you did that. You shouldn't do that. Yeah. You can't say that. Like, it's like Family Feud when the big red X comes on, or you get a whammy. Yeah. Anyway.
Man, it's just like the times we're living in. I know.
So in college, I joined a fraternity, and ZBT. So, kind of going up through high school, most of my friends were girls. I always got along better with girls. Had an older sister, and not very athletic, and so and then my drama guys, we were just a bunch of weirdos, but I never had like a core group of like dudes or bros, So I joined a fraternity, Indiana University, ZBT, Zeta Beta Tau, Jewish fraternity. And so my pledge class, 30 30 guys, you know, in my pledge class, and boom, instant brothers, you know, and you know, and those guys, like, for those 4 years, like, I had experienced a level of friendship and you know, male friendship that I'd never experienced anything like that before. It was transcendent for me. But our pledge class got kicked off. One of our pledge activities was a scavenger hunt. And that scavenger hunt had a number of ethically questionable items on there. And the gentleman who wrote the list, his name was Brian. And there was a street in Bloomington, Indiana called Bryan Street. And so we had to get a Bryan Street sign, you know. And so we split up into groups, you know, and everybody that had a car, like, there was a handful of people that had cars. I had a car, a couple other people had a car. So we, you know, divide and conquer. Anyway, at the end of it all, one group didn't come back. And it was a group that was tasked with getting the Bryan Street sign. Yeah. You know what they did is they had a Toyota 4Runner. You know how that back of the Toyota 4Runner, that back windshield goes all the way down?
Yeah.
You know? So they didn't have any tools to take the actual sign off of the pole. So they took the damn pole and they stuck it out the back of their 4Runner. And they were driving around campus like that. Like idiots.
Yeah.
And they got arrested. And the scavenger hunt list with all of the, well, not all of them, but a handful of ethically questionable items, maybe some racially insensitive items, was released. The police found it and released it to the press.
Oh.
The press published it the next morning in the IDS, the Indiana Daily Student, and we had protesters on our front lawn as we were trying to bail 5 of our pledge brothers out of jail.
Oh, my God.
We got kicked off campus. This was my freshman year. And so we got kicked off campus. We were allowed to stay in the house because of some loophole, because the campus didn't own the house. So we were 1500 North Jordan instead of ZBT. But
it was no longer a fraternity sanctioned by the...
Correct, right.
The
we were a collection of gentlemen living at this house.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I use the phrase loosely. But for the next 2 years, we had a series of diversity training sessions with, black fraternities and sororities, and we did programming together, and at the end of it all, on my senior year, we were back on campus. So we were rebuilders of ZBT, which was really cool. And in doing so, I believe we bridged a gap, a racial gap. Especially with, these, affluent white Jews,
Yeah.
The black community on campus at Indiana University. So I'm grateful for that experience, so while it is enveloped in shame, and I didn't know whether or not I would share that today.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the experience, and I'm grateful for, being able to learn what I did.
Yeah. And I think it's such a common theme in life that your greatest mistakes lead to your, the greatest knowledge that you accumulate, oftentimes.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's the case. And you don't just keep making the same mistake over and over, and you shift and change and elevate and evolve. So that's what you did. Good job.
Thanks.
And now you're talking all about it on my podcast, Diversity and Inclusion.
Here we are.
You're the master of it.
I'm trying to be.
And appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
So you got out of college.
I got out of college. I graduated from college, 2 degrees, finance, real estate, and operations management, which translates to, hey, these are 2 business degrees that overlap really well.
Yep.
I want to make myself really marketable. I wanted to go to Chicago because it's New York City, the Midwest. It's where everybody goes.
Yeah. I love Chicago.
I do too. It's my favorite city. It's my favorite city in the world. All the jobs I interviewed for in Chicago didn't pan out. I took a practice interview. My aunt in Indy, she was real high up in Eli Lilly in their HR division, and she said, you take every interview you get, just for the practice. I said, okay, great, it's good to know. So I took a practice interview with a little outfit down here in Dallas called Crow Holdings, and that practice interview only happened to be at Indiana on campus because one of the gentlemen who was the head analyst at the time actually is from my hometown, Carmel, Indiana. Huge auto racing fan. And the on-campus interviews just happened to coincide with the same weekend for the first ever Formula One race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So in order to legitimize his trip home, he scheduled Midwestern campus recruiting. I had a practice interview, and we came together, and the conversation went well, and they flew me down to Dallas, and I spent a day with the Crow Holdings folks, and had 6 interviews and a Capitol Grill lunch, and then they put me on a plane back home. And a couple weeks later, I got the offer, and didn't even know that I should counter it. But I asked my dad. I said, Dad, all my friends are going to Chicago, and I got this job in Dallas, but I don't have a job in Chicago. What should I do? He says, you're young. Take a chance. So I accepted the job.
Did you have any realization of how awesome Crow Holdings is?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Just whatever.
Yeah, I'm some idiot from Indiana, but it would be like going to work for the Simons, which is an Indianapolis family.
Yeah.
But I was unaware of the scale,
right,
and the impact, and really what it meant to get that job.
Yeah.
And that job was really the springboard for the rest of my career.
For sure.
And so I moved to Dallas, and I didn't know a soul except for the girlfriend of a fraternity brother, one of my pledge brothers. He got arrested, and she got a job. She was from New York, and she got a job with Texas Instruments in Dallas.
Okay.
And so, I had known her for a number of years. And anyway, so I said, hey, we're both going to be in Dallas. We want to share some utilities, So we moved in together at Worthington, post-Worthington on McKinney Avenue.
Yeah.
We shared some utilities, and so I worked at Crow at 2100 McKinney. I used to walk to work, which was awesome. So I got a little bit of that city life,
Yeah, that's cool. You were living in Uptown before it was Uptown.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it was another fish out of water story, just kid from Indiana and, a stranger in a strange land. And, I had a bunch of SMU students, living around me, and it was like oil and water a little bit, but it was awesome. Danny, my roommate, she's kind of a homebody, and I was just young, single, and Danny and Layla, they're married now. They have teenagers.
Really?
Yeah, and they live in Connecticut. I saw them 2 years ago. It's great to see them. And so I would get home after work, and she'd be in her pajamas watching Seventh Heaven at 5:30, and I was like, I'd get home, I'd change, and I'm out to the bar, or wherever, and I'm going to go find some fun, because it's not coming to apartment 711, 250 in the Worthington. Nevertheless, so I got to Dallas, and, I didn't know anybody, and I had no choice but to just work my butt off. And so I was an analyst, crunching numbers on all product types, running Argus, really learning the business. Because when you graduate with a real estate degree in college, all you really graduate with is a vocabulary.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. And every story, every piece of land, every building has a different story, strategy, and you don't really know what you're doing until you're in it, right?
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of my professional career, July 9th, 2001. So next week, a week from today, it will be 25 years.
Wow.
Of my professional career.
So how long were you there?
7.5 years.
Wow.
And how I made it that long, I don't know, because I was an odd duck in that organization. I worked really hard. I was smart, and driven and dedicated. I'd go above and beyond, but I did not fit in. I was cut from a different cloth, and nobody ever told me anything about Southern conservative politics and, what to do and more importantly, what not to do. And I definitely had my fair share of career limiting moves in that organization.
Like what?
Man. Well, I was okay. Well, the first one would be to make a flippant joke and drop an F-bomb in front of Tony Donna, the the right-hand man of Harlan Crow, during a company happy hour at the in the office. So that was a miscalculation of risk there. And so I think
he did not like the F-bombs.
I don't believe that went well because it was in mixed company, and I don't know if he remembers it or not, but I sure do. And there was another gentleman there who's still there. His name's Dodge Carter, and once I popped off to him, in an emotional just response.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that Dodge remembers that. I know I do. And I have seen Dodge once since then in person, or since my departure from Crow anyway, maybe once or twice, but nevertheless. And I remember thinking to myself, I really should apologize to him. And I didn't. And I wish I had. The next time I see him, I'm going to...
You should just call him. Then it'll be over. Then the shame will go away. You'll transmute it with the truth.
I know you're right. I know you're right. I should just call him.
Yeah.
But then I have to actually
call him.
Then
Then it's on you, not
right?
on
and
chance.
it's not on the universe.
Yeah.
And a chance meeting. Damn it, Ward.
You just call him.
All right. I'll call him.
Yeah, I was just on the Truckin' On podcast, and this came to light.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it'll be, and maybe he doesn't, maybe he doesn't remember, but I bet he does.
I found through like making amends and the process of the 12-step program is like a lot of people forget like what you're like holding on to, but like the holding on to it is dragging you down. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Way more than them, but the ritual of doing that is super cathartic and cleansing, and then that energetic layer of all it is shame, it evaporates. It's gone. Mm-hmm. Doesn't even, if he's like, fuck you, I didn't want to hear from you, I'll never forget that, at least you're like, yeah, that's on him now. Right. It's not on me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They say you have to be willing to make amends, I believe. Like you don't have to get someone to forgive you. You just have to like apologize or be willing to apologize, really. Mm-hmm. Like if you encounter them. But yeah, I deal with this a lot, like the same thing. And whenever and the more you get used to making those phone calls, then it's like, oh fuck, I got to make the phone call. And it's more of like a 2-second thought instead of a decades long thought. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, off out of here, get out of my, I don't need that in my brain. Is like any kind of worry that I can control alleviating.
I really appreciate that perspective. Thank you for sharing that with me. Yeah,
man. Thanks for sharing all of this. Mm-hmm. We're like, I knew we would go deep. And when we had lunch, it's like, you have to do the podcast. And like, yeah. So, but moving on, where did you go next?
Oh, yeah. So Crow, I grew up at Crow. I was working on larger, I was a retail guy for a long time. And then, I really did. I really grew and learned the business there, and I started leading teams of people as well. And I transitioned into the old Parkland project with Harlan and Barry.
Yeah.
And I worked with them for 2 years on that, and then transitioned out of that. That was a challenging experience. Good challenging, also bad challenging, but amazing. I've never worked on a project before where the word budget was a bad word.
Yeah.
It was a spare no expense. It was, we're doing this, and, all is right.
Yeah. So you were like an analyst while
No,
they were...
no. At that point, I was working alongside. So it was Harlan Crow, Barry Henry, and me. And we were working on the overseeing the construction and the redevelopment of the because it was an old decrepit hospital. It was the old Parkland Hospital. It was and we worked on assembling the site as well and getting historic tax credits and stuff like that.
That's like such a legendary real estate deal.
It was amazing to work on. It was such an eye-opening experience. I grew so much and really got a little bit of insight into how the city works and how the development process goes. September of 2008 came around, and that was great. GFC, the market was tanking 700-800 points a day. I had transitioned back into the fund business, and so I was the first of a handful of people that were let go of economic reasons. I probably also ran my mouth too much and got shown the door and put to the top of that list. Nevertheless, September of 2008. Great Recession. I joined a bunch of my brethren.
Everyone in America.
Yeah.
Like my last podcast that came out yesterday, Ryan Keithley.
Which was fantastic. I listened to it last night.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's such a great friend, and that's an amazing episode. I listened to it yesterday, too. And, he got laid off by Prologis.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that.
It happens to the best of us. I've been laid off a number of times. So I parted ways with Crow early the next year and joined a company called Hudson Advisors, the asset management arm of the Lone Star Funds. So I worked there for a year and a half. It was an interesting culture, different culture than Crow. I would call it was kind of a fear-based culture, which was, in what were very scary times. Actually, so that was interesting. I would show up to work, and almost every day there was an email that was like, such and such's last day was yesterday, and I was like, well, it's only a matter of time before mine comes, and then one day it did, along with 30 others. They did this massive riff, and then I went to go work with a company called Oryx, Orix. I was working on a portfolio of, balance sheet, assets. And I've always been in the equity asset management side of the business.
Yeah.
And so I was with Oryx for, a couple of years, 2.5 years, I guess. And at the time I was interviewing for the Oryx job, I also interviewed for a group called Parmenter Realty Partners, which is a value-add office group. Parmenter put their job on hold, and so I took the job with Oryx. But I'd stayed in touch with the principal, Steve Bronner, who's since passed away, Parmenter. And I saw him in like him and the leasing guy, and they were in this grass skirt, like hula-themed broker event or something like that. And Parmenter is when you and I met. And so I sent that picture, that little snippet of Steve Bronner and Tom Ridenour in grass skirts to Steve, and I said, "Hey, looking good. Let's grab lunch sometime." And so we grabbed lunch, and he says, "We're firing this hire back up. So let's talk." And I said, "Well, it's so funny. I just happen to have my resume right here," and I gave it to him. And a month later, I was working at Parmenter.
Yeah,
and then
Tom Ridenour is a great guy.
He's a great guy.
He's one of my dad's best friends.
Oh, yeah?
I've known him for a long time.
Yeah, so he was Parmenter's in-house leasing guy.
Yeah.
And actually, I just got a memory on my phone yesterday of me and Tom and Christy Torkelson, now Christy Waddell. She and Tom were running the leasing, and the three of us got together for lunch like 2 years ago, and it popped up on my phone yesterday, so I flipped it to him. So
such a good dude.
So I was at Parmenter for 5.5 years. That was I never thought I would find a job that I liked better than Crow. It was vertically integrated. So everybody from the lowest engineer all the way up to the senior property manager rolled up to asset management and corporate, right?
Yeah.
It was the first time I actually had put on my people management hat. And most people hate managing people. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love people. I love building a team, and I love when you show somebody how to do something or teach them something, or kind of work with them, and then they become self-sustaining, and then they do it. Like, it's something so rewarding, and like building these teams. We had a management team at each one of our buildings, and sometimes you'd get them wrong, and you'd hire somebody wrong, and you'd have to swap some people out, but when you got it right, there's no feeling better than when that machine just starts humming.
Yep.
It's so gratifying.
No doubt. So take me kind of quickly from then to the now.
Okay.
And because we've gone so deep, we might go off the cliff.
That's fair.
Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but I want to hear kind of your so you've been on this asset side, and your the last role when we met
was with Entrada. Well, it was with Entrada, yeah.
And then you've moved on from Entrada.
I have, yeah. And so we were there for 4 years, and it was great. And so now I'm here, and so Entrada and I parted ways in November. And I'm super proud of what we did. We built our team from 3 to 15 people. And we laid all sorts of policies, procedures in place where there were none, and really kind of set themselves, set the stage for their next level of their next phase of growth. The challenge there is Entrada grew faster than I did.
Yeah.
So it was a timely parting of ways, and
I need to get Ruben on here. He would be a great guest. He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm. He's busy these days.
Yeah.
But I love those guys, and I'm proud of what we did. But our time had run its course.
And you had a big ass team there too.
And I see that now.
Doing your people management.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. There's a lot of life that ensued between then and now too, or then and November. So now I've been filling my days with coffees, meetings, lunches, engaging with people. My goal here, I'm launching my consulting and advisory firm, Heddy and Associates.
Amazing.
And Heddy and Associates has its first customer, and I'm working on a project. It's a project management role, so I'll be bringing a lender, an architect, and a general contractor to the table for my client. And we're going to be building an amenity center for 150 townhomes. It's a small project, but it will allow me to help them. Because they can't, they don't have the skills to do it themselves. And they've been trying for 2 years. So I helped them evaluate it. I made the pitch to them, and I said, all right, let's go. So that's going to, they're reviewing my contract right now, and we're going to go.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. But at the end of it all, I just want to help people.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of people who kind of fall into real estate positions. A friend of mine that I know through, my eldest who went to Hockaday, he inherited some land, and he's not a real estate guy. So I'm trying to help him not make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I get paid on that. I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I want to take care of Larry.
Yeah. So, and then through all of this career path, you have been married
twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I met my first wife at that job at Crow. So I was destined to be here in Dallas. And
Did you ever think about moving to Chicago since you've been here? Or have you?
Yeah, every year in the infancy of my career at Crow, I would be like, man, I was going to be here for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I would get a bonus and a little raise. And then I'd be like, maybe one more year. And then I'd get another bonus and a little raise. I'd be like, I guess another year. And then I met my ex-wife, and then, then I had my circle, and, it began to feel like home.
Were you going to temple? Were you
I wasn't.
Temple goer?
I was not until my ex-wife, who was born Catholic. We decided we were going to get married, and and she wanted to convert.
Okay.
There's another rabbit hole we could go down, but anyway, we were shopping around for temples, right? And we found Temple Emmanuel, which just felt right, And so Stephanie went through her conversion, and then we got married, and and we were married for 10 years, and we brought Piper into the world in 2011. And we split up in 18, 19. And
do you split time?
50-50.
50-50.
50-50. So
you do week on, week off?
Friday to Friday. Yeah, week on, week off. But with Tuesday is a date night. Date night, sleepover at the other.
Okay. So that you split it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
so
nice.
That way you don't have to wait a whole week, to see their kid.
Yeah. We've talked about going week on, week off, but I travel so much, and my ex-wife Gina and I are cool, and I've suggested it, and I think I could plan my work travel around it. I know plenty of people that travel as much as I do that do that. But we just kind of like check in on Sunday, like, what's the deal this week? Mm-hmm. And I get 3 nights and she gets 4 nights, and that's the normal, unless like she's going out of town or something, and then I'll pick up some extra nights, and we just kind of go with the flow. But I like the consistency of that setup, mm-hmm. and it's awesome that you are getting 50% custody of your kids, right? And
I mean, it's great to hear that you have a good, flexible relationship with your ex. I do too. I'm very fortunate. I think we are very fortunate.
I say it takes work, the same energy, like the same type of work that a marriage takes, but like 20% or 30% the effort, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah, for sure.
Of a marriage, but it's still that same kind of attention to detail and being careful, being impeccable with your word, as mm-hmm. the book, The 4 Agreements says, like, just, not that I am 100% of the time, but just being mindful and like offering to help when you don't need to, mm-hmm. and like, just those little nice touches. But yeah. Then, but it is, I think a happy divorce is really healthy for the children.
Yeah.
If you don't have kids, then it doesn't really matter. But if you have kids, you're connected still, mm-hmm. like forever.
Yeah, that's right.
You may as well work on that relationship mm-hmm. to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and it wasn't always good, with my ex, but we are a modern family now, and and I have Rose, a younger, she's 4, with my current wife.
Yeah.
Right. And so, our village, me, Erica, Rose, Piper, who goes by Ezra now, and Stephanie, my ex-wife. So like we do things together. We have Thanksgiving and we have holidays together.
That's awesome.
As a family, because it's about the kids,
We're going on vacation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
To Maui.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I booked it with the kids and we were going, and then it's just one of those things. I'm like, we're getting along like really good. So you want to go? And because we've been on vacations before, so it's not the first one, but we kind of like, I think you go on one and it's like, okay, next one, good without.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we both mutually feel that way, I would think. Mm-hmm. And we're both like, are we sure? Like, yeah, we find like we're not riding to the airport together though, because
that's too much.
Yeah. That, like, I like to be early and, Oh
my God, that sounds like my old marriage. I was the early one, the neurotic flyer.
I just like to be on time, really. That's all I ask. Like, I don't like to be rushing. And some people in this world like the rush. And, but I think that I've at least pinpointed the big problem of travel is the rides to the airport and getting ready to go to the airport. So if we just say, you're on your own, see you on the plane, I'll take the kids. You don't have to worry about them. You just make your way there, but we're not doing this as a family effort. Like, that's really the biggest problem of the trip. Anyway,
sounds like a healthy boundary.
That's great. Yeah. You gotta always be evolving.
That's right.
Setting the boundaries as needed. So, that's cool, man. I'd like to ask what advice you would give to your younger self.
Think to yourself, not out loud.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I can see you. I know you well enough.
Yeah.
I can totally picture you, like the conversation.
Bring that back.
The conversation with the guy making the joke at the club in Deep Ellum. Like, I can totally see you having that conversation with him. Like, it's a Josh Hedderich move. Like, of course you're going to go sit down. I'd like to tell you something. I'm Sunday school teacher in you.
I'm big on course correction, immediate feedback and course correction.
Yeah.
You can ask my former Entrada team about that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's, yeah, I have a problem, and I get this. I think I get it, honestly, from both my mother and my father. But they think out loud. They shouldn't. And I do the same thing. Dude. And so does my sister. And so I think it may be a Hedderich curse.
Speak less, listen more.
Yeah.
I remind myself of that constantly.
Yeah.
I like talk too much in therapy sessions. I'm like, shut up and like listen to some advice.
That's what you're supposed to do, though.
I know.
Yeah. Think to yourself, not out loud, and then be slower to react.
Yeah. You know? Great advice.
Yeah. I'm still practicing that. I'm still learning that.
I love the thing, like, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice, dude.
And that, had I followed my advice, I wouldn't have to be calling Dodge Carter after this to apologize.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah, and apologize swiftly. It's a good move.
What would you tell your younger self?
I would say don't drink alcohol. Go to a Tony Robbins conference, start practicing yoga, and start meditating. Go to a Joe Dispenza meditation conference. Read the Tao Te Ching every day. And be kind. I think I've always been pretty kind. So those are just some tidbits.
It's good advice.
Yeah. The alcohol thing, like it's always one of those things I think about because, man, I rolled so hard for so long through my adult life. Like it was 20 years of hardcore partying, which, dude, would I have this podcast and be talking about all of this? I wouldn't be able to talk about this stuff in this way had I not experienced that. So, but man, life would have been easier. And, like just a few of those simple things, which is why I talk about these things quite often on here, is hoping that someone who needs to hear it will hear it, before another 10 years goes by. Just because, and man, I don't think my younger self would have listened to me right now. He would have been like, "You're a fucking nerd."
Yeah.
Peace. And it just is what it is. Like, you know, like I've had mystical experiences that have shown me the infinite intelligence beyond the veil to a degree that's unspeakable. And I'm sure it's only a sliver of what's actually there. But enough to know that there is like a greater plan that's in place that's beyond our control. And I can look back at that younger version that I would tell that to, and like he's actually just doing the best he can do, and like and getting through things the way he was perhaps designed to get through things to get to this point. Mm-hmm. And so I do have such gratitude for that, all those experiences now. And I mean, if I had stopped drinking when I was 21 years old and after college and got serious and started into meditation, yoga and all that, like who is the person I would be now? Would I be more spiritual than I am now? Highly fucking debatable. Mm-hmm. Because much like we were talking about earlier, like the biggest failures can often be the biggest moments of awakening. So it's kind of like, I mean, I feel it in my bones, like what I experienced. I went deep into darkness, and like, I think maybe did that allow me to access a level of light that would have been inaccessible had I not experienced the depths of the darkness? Mm-hmm. Perhaps. The Tao Te Ching would probably say that I'm right on that. So, and I mean, so many people will say on here, like, I'd not change a thing. Like, just for the sake of like hangovers and how I would physically feel right now, for sure. Like those would be some nice modifications to make.
Good tweaks.
I would also, knowing me, I'd be like, well, I've never tried this. I don't have that anymore. Like I've tried everything I wanted to try so many times I got bored with trying it. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's kind of like how I'm wired, I think, to finally move on from things that no longer serve me. So
yeah. And I think that's the biggest gift, is learning, that you can be okay without those things. My wife is sober from alcohol 15 years. And it'll be 15 years in October. Yeah, it's awesome, and I admire her strength. My ex-wife and I, we drank a lot together.
Yeah.
I'm now, through my therapy and whatnot, I'm learning that I was really just medicating and covering up tough emotions because I never learned how to deal with them.
Yeah. That's why everybody who drinks heavily drinks.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mask.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was a mask. I thought it was the best thing ever invented. Mm-hmm. But it's just a mask.
Yeah.
So moving on. Well, what is the greatest obstacle you've had to overcome?
It's hard to really say one thing. I mean, my divorce was tough.
Did you initiate it, or did she?
She did.
She did?
Through my actions.
Okay. Were you surprised?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. No, and our marriage had its own fair share of challenges.
Yeah.
And, and I wasn't the best husband, and the best partner. And they say hindsight's always 20/20, I lost sight of what was really important, and I focused on, like money and things like that. And I see a lot of the errors of my ways in my first marriage that I'm trying to not do in my second marriage, and my ex-wife, Stephanie, is awesome. And, I've made amends with her, and she as well has admitted that, she also was not the best wife, and like it takes two to destroy a marriage.
For sure. It's always like, if there's two people involved, it's both people's fault.
Yeah. For sure. And there's his version, her version, and the truth. Right.
Love that.
So, at the end of the day, we are where we are. And we've gone through some shit, and we've recognized, we've looked inside, we've taken stock, and we realize the error of our ways, and and we're better, and our relationship's never better.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Gina.
Yeah, and And, Stephanie and I maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say maybe we should never have gotten married, but then we wouldn't have, Piper Ezra,
right.
and it's like, I wouldn't change it. I needed to go through those lessons to be where I am today, to be the man and the father and the husband I am today,
Yeah, man.
and I get another chance to do it with Rose, there's 10 years between the kids. And, and so with Rose, it's I'm trying new things too, that I didn't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it is the toughest, most rewarding job being a dad,
I love it. My favorite thing I've ever experienced.
Mm-hmm. But I would say the bigger obstacle really has been job transitions.
Oh yeah.
There's been, I don't know, 5 or 6 in my career. Just, on the asset management side, you tend to work yourself out of a job.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes, but that's like a grind, and like, your utility with with an organization, has a window, and then the utility runs out. Your time, you grow apart, you evolve, and whatever, time's just time to change sometimes, or they sell all the assets, or what have you, and you got nothing to work on. But like this most recent, I guess, job transition, it hit harder. I think it's probably because I'm in my mid 40s, struggling with, what's my impact going to be?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a Trammell Crow, I'm not going to revolutionize the face of the industry, or maybe I will, and I just don't know it yet.
Yeah, it's like, don't say that. Your words are powerful.
Yeah, well, sometimes the voices in our heads are stronger than we are sometimes. So, nevertheless,
I often say, "Shut the fuck up about that voice in my head."
I know. I was saying it. Sometimes in the head, I was thinking.
Sometimes the voice in my head is like that sound voice that's telling me to do things I should be doing, but then there's the other voice in the head that makes me worry about things I shouldn't be worrying about. And man, work is like when I'm meditating every day, work is like 90% of what just like, I'm like, God, what is up with that? Being a broker, man, it's like you're in constant, like, you never know what your income's going to be. It's highly unpredictable. And, that like you have a million other people calling on your clients, trying to get them to fire you and hire them. And, it's just, there's a lot of pressure. And I mean, it's 20 years of that pressure for me. And it's still, even with all the success I've had, like that voice of fear creeps in way more often than I would like it to. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, and that is something I'm working on.
Fear is very present in my life right now. And I'm very, aware of and I'm in retrospect, looking back, like I'm very aware of the lifetime of decisions that I have made based on fear.
Yeah.
Every one of these job transitions, get a job, take a job, right? Take a job, take that job. I don't want to not have money. I don't want to not be able to pay my bills. I don't want to be homeless. I want, all of this stuff, right? It's all fear. It's all fear, and it's catastrophizing, all these scenarios ahead. But really, you're just spinning your wheels, wondering about scenarios, when in all reality, you just got to focus on what's here in front of you in the present.
For me, listening to you, you're like, I'm not going to be a Trammell Crow. I'm not going to reshape the industry. I was like, bro, you built Parkland for Crow Holdings. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
just phase one.
It doesn't matter. That's like, if you ask any commercial real estate broker in Dallas, like, what do you think about the Crow Holdings Parkland development? They're like, oh, that's so cool. That's the coolest thing ever. Like, everybody knows.
That's pretty cool.
Like, that's cool, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, you like just need to remind yourself of the experience and like the magical stuff you've done, and like, don't sell yourself short. And I'm speaking to myself at the same time.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
What's your favorite restaurant? Hetty's Kitchen.
Hetty's Kitchen.
Hetty's Kitchen on Instagram. Is that it?
Best barbecue in the world.
Is that the Instagram handle?
It is, yeah.
Hetty's Kitchen.
Yeah. I've got Dallas Hetty too, but the Hetty's Kitchen was so much fun. COVID barbecue stuff. But I'll cook briskets, or I'll smoke meats for whatever, if people want something. But it's not a going concern.
Is that your go-to?
What's that?
Brisket.
I love cooking a brisket. I would give anything for any excuse to cook a brisket.
Yeah.
So, but then by the end of the 24 hours, when it's time to eat the brisket, I don't want to look at it.
Do you eat it while it's cooking?
No, I always get my nibbles in while I slice.
Yeah.
And then I serve it, and then I just watch people enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's why I like to cook. I like. It's my way of expressing love. It's my love language to people.
Next time, instead of an orchid, bring me a brisket.
Yeah. For round 2, we can do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
We definitely have round 2's worth of conversation to have. That's for sure.
Brevity is not my strong suit.
But you being a master chef and a smoker of brisket, what is your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant, I have 2, I think. And I don't know, Lucia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Lucia is really special, yeah. And then another one is, have you been to Sushi by Scratch? The omakase experience. It's in a room that in the Adolphus Hotel that has been converted.
I've heard of it. I've not been there.
Oh my God, it's amazing. You go and you have a 16-course omakase experience. There are 10 seats available. They seat at 5, 7:15, and 9 p.m.
Is it hard to get a reservation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although the first of the month, like just today, I made reservations for August 2nd.
Okay.
So I got a 4-top.
I need to do that.
You should do it.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you. We got the 7:15 slot, which is rare, but we did it a year or so ago, my wife and I, and it was awesome.
I want to try that.
It was awesome.
I love sushi.
Me too. And yeah, so I just made those reservations today, so I'm excited. I got something to look forward to.
Right on. Mm-hmm. What about a book?
My book is The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Okay. This book has changed my life 4 times. I'm in the middle of the 4th.
I've got to read it.
I highly recommend it. I recommend it to everybody. Some people get it, some people don't. But it's all about the energy between us and the universal ties that bind us all together, and synchronicity, and how the clues are all there for you if you are aware and if your eyes are open and you follow those clues, and they lead you down the path you're intended to go on. And chance occurrences and meetings between people are not just chance, they're by design. And if you are willing to examine the reason why you've come together with this person, then that will take you in a whole new direction. And that has happened in my life multiple times.
Yeah.
And
in everybody's life.
Yeah, for sure.
Becoming aware of it, though, makes you really think about things like that.
It was in the dark teenage years. My sister gave me this book. And so that gave me a whole new perspective. I read it again when I first moved to Dallas, and I was feeling lost and I didn't know anybody. And it took me in a new direction. I read it during my divorce as I was trying to make sense of the world around me that was crumbling, supposedly crumbling, and it gave me a new perspective. And right now I'm reading it again, and I'm about halfway through. And it's giving me a new perspective on this next iteration of me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it before you walk out the door. Tell me what's your favorite quote, or what's a good quote?
Life turns out the way that it should if you let it. And that's by me. It's kind of been my mantra.
Book title.
It's actually dovetails in with the Celestine Prophecy. Just if you let it,
yeah,
life turns out the way that it should.
Yeah.
Another quote is "You can't have no in your heart" by Joe Dirt.
You can't have no in your heart.
Kind of my spirit animal. And then the other one, the one that really resonates with me, is Maya Angelou's quote: "Nobody really cares, or nobody will remember what you did, but everybody will remember how you made them feel."
Yeah, man.
That to me is really the essence.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
I forget what other questions I ask before we wrap this up. Is there a charity or cause that you're passionate about?
I would say I volunteer at the garden at my temple. It's the Jill Stone Community Garden at Temple Emmanuel. You can volunteer Wednesday, Sunday mornings, and it is a fully volunteer-led garden run by a bunch of master gardeners. And last year, and they donate all of their food to the food pantry at
Are you a master gardener?
No. No.
You just go up there and volunteer.
I just go and I pick tomatoes and whatever. But they donate all their food to Vickery Meadow Food Pantry. And last year they donated over 9,000 pounds of food to Vickery Meadow. And, that's like Park Lane and Greenville, right? So like really close to home, and impactful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check it out. 2 hours and 2 minutes. This is one hell of a trucking on
All
episode.
right.
Synchronistic timing. I love the tutus. Mm-hmm. Josh Hedderich, how do people track you down?
Well, you can find me. I'm leaning in heavy on LinkedIn these days. So Josh Hedderich, LinkedIn, Hedderich. Hetty's Kitchen on Instagram, Facebook. But really, in my website, which is under construction, www.teamhetty.co. And, someday there will be an actual website there.
Yeah.
Someday next week.
Yeah, and if you're out there listening, you have an asset that needs to be properly taken care of.
Hetty and Associates. Hetty is here to help. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, Ward.
Yes, brother. You know it. Thanks for sharing your story and the great conversation.
Absolutely. Thank
right
you,
on.
my friend.
Thanks for trucking on. Peace.
Peace.